Okay, let's talk about the book of Revelation. When I say the bottomless pit, what pops into your head? Is it just chaos? Some kind of demonic horror movie scene? It's got to be one of the most terrifying images in the whole Bible, right? But what if we've been looking at it all wrong? What if there's another way to see it? Let's dive in.
I mean, you can't blame us for thinking the worst. Popular culture has totally run with this idea. It's always portrayed as this place of just pure, unfiltered evil. A prison for ancient monsters, just waiting for the lock to break. The whole concept feels like it was designed to give you nightmares.
And for a long time, that's pretty much exactly how it's been interpreted, even in theology. It's seen as this place of divine judgment, fear, the end of the line, the ultimate symbol of God's wrath. But what we're going to do today is explore a really different take on it, a view that completely flips this whole terrifying image on its head.
So, let's get into it. A pit of terror or something else? This is a really radical reinterpretation of Revelation 9:2. Here's the question. What if the opening of this pit isn't about unleashing some new terror on the world? What if it's the exact opposite? What if it's the announcement of a victory that's already been won? That's the big idea we're gonna unpack.
Check this out. The core of this new idea is that the opening of the bottomless pit signifies that the atonement has already been accomplished. Think about that for a second. This single sentence suggests the whole event isn't about chaos being let loose. It's a declaration. It's a statement. It's Jesus having already done the work on the cross, revealing just how final that victory over sin and death really is. So, how in the world do we get from a terrifying pit to that? Well, we've got to break down the symbols piece by piece.
All right, first up, the altar of atonement. We're going to deconstruct the pit itself. So the first thing we have to do is completely rethink what the pit even is. Forget the idea of a prison for a minute. This perspective asks us to see it as something totally different, an altar.
And this is where your brain might do a little flip. On one hand, you have the traditional view, a prison of chaos, a realm of destruction. But on the other hand, this new idea, an altar of sacrifice, a place of finished judgment. The argument is that the pit isn't a physical place of torture, but a spiritual symbol for the altar of God, the very place where the final judgment against all sin was carried out. So it's not about some future horror show. It's about a judgment that's already happened. It's in the past.
Let's get into the language a bit, because it's actually really important here. The original Greek word is abyssos. And yeah, you can hear our word abyss right in there. It literally means an abyss, a bottomless deep. But that word bottomless is key. Why that specific word?
Well, according to this view, it isn't just about physical depth like a hole you can't see the bottom of. It's symbolic. The idea is that the pit is bottomless to try and give us a picture of the infinite magnitude, the sheer weight of all the sin of all humanity that Jesus took on himself in that one moment on the cross. The bottomless part isn't describing the pit. It's describing the scale of the sin and the even greater scale of the sacrifice.
Okay, so the pit is the altar. What about the smoke? That's the next big image we have to tackle. What does the smoke rising from this pit actually mean? Let's move from damnation to offering.
So Revelation 9:2 says, "There arose a smoke out of the pit, as the smoke of a great furnace." And again, our immediate reaction is probably, yep, that sounds terrifying. A great furnace sounds like judgment and fire. But just like with the pit, there's way more to this image than meets the eye. The Greek word here is kapnos. It just means smoke or a thick vapor. But here's the thing. You have to remember that in the Bible, smoke is not always a bad sign. It's not always about destruction. In fact, it often has a completely different and very sacred meaning.
I mean, think back to the Old Testament. Remember Mount Sinai? Exodus tells us the whole mountain was covered in smoke because God himself descended on it in fire. In that case, the smoke was a sign of the powerful, awesome, holy presence of God. It was a symbol of his glory and his righteous judgment.
And here's an even more direct link. On the Day of Atonement, the holiest day of the year, the high priest was commanded to burn incense, and the cloud of smoke was supposed to cover the mercy seat on the Ark of the Covenant. So you have smoke that is literally directly connected to the act of atonement, the symbolic covering of sin.
So when you put all that together, this interpretation argues that the smoke from the pit isn't the smoke of hellfire and damnation at all. It's the smoke of the ultimate finished sacrifice. It's the proof rising up to heaven that the offering was made and it was accepted. It's the moment where the fire of judgment is transformed into what the New Testament calls a fragrant offering.
Okay, that brings us to the final piece of this puzzle, the darkness of the cross. Because the vision isn't just about a pit and smoke, it also talks about a profound darkness, a moment when the sun went out.
The verse finishes by saying, "And the sun and the air were darkened." Now, this isn't just some random spooky detail thrown in. This cosmic event is, in this view, a direct echo of the single most important moment in human history.
You know where this is going, right? The New Testament parallel is undeniable. Matthew 27:45 says that at the crucifixion, there was darkness over all the land until the 9th hour. So the darkness in Revelation 9 isn't a prediction of something yet to happen. It's a powerful look back at something that already did.
And this darkness is so deeply symbolic. It's like all of creation was groaning, reacting to the moment its own creator was bearing the full weight of its sin. You could even say the Son of Righteousness, the Son of God, was momentarily eclipsed by death, just to show us the incredible gravity of what was happening. Okay, so let's put all these pieces together. We're looking at a revelation of victory, not terror. When you take these same symbols, the pit, the smoke, the darkness, and you look at them through the lens of the cross, the entire vision just transforms.
Let's reframe the symbolism. 1. The pit is no longer a prison, it's the altar of judgment. 2. The smoke is no longer a sign of terror, it's the proof of sacrifice. And 3. The darkness isn't a future plague, it's the echo of the cross. Suddenly, it all clicks into place.
This quote really just says it all. Jesus took what was once a place of destruction and turned it into an altar, offering himself in love to conquer death. I mean, wow. In this view, Jesus doesn't open the pit to unleash horror, he transforms it. He takes the number one symbol of destruction and turns it into the ultimate monument to his victory and love.
And the implications of this, they're huge. The vision is transformed. What we thought was a terrifying prediction of future terror becomes a powerful declaration of a past triumph. This scary passage from Revelation stops being a prophecy about what's coming and starts being a declaration of what's already been done. The focus shifts from fear to absolute assurance.
So it kind of leaves us with this one big question, right? How does a single interpretation change an entire story? It makes you think about how much of what we understand is shaped by the lens we're looking through. By just changing the starting point, swapping future terror for past triumph, a single verse, maybe even the whole story of Revelation can be completely transformed. And what we always thought was a bottomless pit of terror might actually be a monument to an unbreakable, unshakable hope.